Interview and job search strategies at work. In the last couple episodes, well, permanently, actually in the first episode, we talked about typical job. Go from a call center job to a help desk job and so on and so forth. We're going to assume now that you've taken the steps to go from McDonald's to a call center job. You've applied, you've been on training, you're in your 2 weeks of training, you have lots of nice skills. You've gained the soft skills that comes with being a call center technician. Awesome. Now you're ready to become a help desk person. You're ready for that next step. You've applied. What do you need? What certifications do you need to get that position? Well, it could help you. You typically actually don't need certifications. You just need knowledge. Active Directory knowledge, primarily. If you know Active Directory, how to create users and groups, how to create permissions, then you're good. That's pretty much what you need. If you want to take it one step further and spend, I want to say it's $150 for each exam. I think that's what it is. So you're looking at like 150 times 3, $450, but roughly, to get the Active Directory certification. And I'll tell you what that is. It's a Microsoft cert. It's a MCSA, so that's a Microsoft Certified Solution Associate, and a Windows Server 2016. And those are 3 certifications. They are 70-740, 70-741, and 70-742. 70-740 covers the installation and the configuration of the Windows Server 2016 software, setting it up, creating creating an admin account on it. When you install Server 2016, you're gonna create users, like local users basically, and that's just the server level. That's just standing up a server. No big deal, right? That's just like installing an OS, essentially. There's more to it than that, but that's basically the point of it, how to do that. And then the other one is 741. That is networking with Windows Server 2016. That's how to set up your DNS. That's how to set up your DHCP server. In server, you can do that. And that's how to implement your Hyper-V SDN. So that's the software-defined network. So you can create an actual network within a server under your Hyper-V network, essentially. And then finally, your 742. So the 742 is primarily focused on Active Directory and domain services. So setting up Active Directory, setting up Active Directory certificate services, creating user accounts, creating permissions for those users. This is what I tell people. This is what I mentor on. I tell them, whenever you start this journey and you have a help desk job, continue on, learn more. But if you're in call center, learn this. Go to Udemy, go to Google, learn Active Directory. Google, what is this thing called Active Directory? I know I hit on it before. Let me take it a little step further. Have an Excel spreadsheet or OpenOffice. You can OpenOffice free. And in the Excel spreadsheet, put down your host names. Write down, for instance, you might want to say Texas. So each server can have up to 15 characters. So I would say, here's how I recommend breaking that down. So TEXA, that's 4. Then DAL, that's Dallas, DAL. Then, what is it? So that's 7. Now you have 8 more. So you might want to put SRVR, so that's server. And then you might want to put AD01. So what are you left with? You're left with Texas, Dallas, server, AD01. You just break it down into 15 characters, essentially. Why is that important? What are you asking me to do that for? What's the reason? Here's the reason. You pretend in your training environment that you have a bunch of servers. You might have 5 servers, let's say, right? And you want to pretend each of those servers is in a different location, an Active Directory location. You can set up AD in 5 different areas. You typically don't have that many Active Directory servers. In a role environment, you probably have like 3 or 4. But you can do 5. They could be anything really. You can, in place of AD, you can put file server, FS01. It's up to you. But I like to tell them to write those servers name down, write the IP addresses down, and write down what domain it's on when you create it. That way, in real world practice, that's what they do. They have a list of inventory of all these servers, because you could be looking at, say, 20,000 servers, or a list of the whoever pulls a list from SCCM or whatever of, all these are servers, bam, and you're like, I have no idea where they're at. I have no clue. Well, you'll know this because based on their name. That's the whole idea behind naming them that way, because you'll know where they're at. Secondly, in your Excel spreadsheet, another sheet perhaps, create a bunch of users. Family members, friends, etc. Maybe 10, 20 users. Create a bunch of users and give them different permissions. Put them in different member of containers. Maybe create a different container. Maybe create a container, a member of group essentially for only Texas or whatever area that server is in. And add those users to that area. And then you're able to identify, you're able to simulate problems essentially. So when you do help desk in your real world scenario, you're going to have a bunch of people calling you, a bunch of different problems. Take those problems and just simulate them in your at-home environment, basically your home lab environment, so that you understand, okay, that's what it's. Get to the point where you can break it, you can solve the problem quicker and faster. And whenever you do that, you're just gonna, you're gonna get more. What you want to do is this. You want to have the aha moment. You want to have like, wow, I did it. I figured it out. Awesome. That's what you want to get to. That's everything really. When you can get to that point where you're like, I figured it out. I did it on my own. I had that aha moment. You want to fail fast essentially, but you want to get to the aha moment. Like, I did it. I know I keep reiterating that, but that's really the case. Whenever you get to that feeling that I did it, that's their confidence building. You got it. You got that win. You got that small win. Whenever I think I didn't really go over this in the first episode, but whenever you're getting out, and some people may feel like, oh, IT is such this giant thing, and it's really not. Truth be told, it's really not. And if someone around you says, oh, you can't get this job, right? Like, you can't get a job because you don't have a certificate, or rather you don't have a degree, or whatever the scenario is, whatever they tell you, just say thank you. Awesome. Thank you. And don't seek their advice again, because anybody that is in IT, everybody, the people you want to hang around with, the people you want to take advice from, are the people trying to help you. They want to help me out, help me get better. Because in IT, we don't want someone who doesn't share knowledge, someone who just like holds it in, is a stingy butt. We don't want that. We don't want those type of people here. I mean, they exist, believe that. There are people, I told you in the first one, that just stick around and just take a chair. They're taking up a chair, taking up a seat, essentially, taking up a slot from the company. They're good workers. They do what's expected of them, but they're not looking to improve. And I've seen it time and time again, how many people I've seen that they're just content, dude. They're just fine. Hey, I'm here. I'm fine. And hey, that's on them. No big deal. But my point is, if your goal is to do that, then just do that. But if your goal is to get better and better and better, people around you are going to gravitate to you. And maybe you could even form like your own little powwow, basically, where maybe you go home and you talk about ideas with people at work and you just learn. Or if you're not getting it there, there's plenty of communities out there. And if you're not getting it from there, create a YouTube channel, teach people what you know, and you're going to get instant feedback, because you're probably looking for some sort of recognition or some sort of like, good job. Sometimes you won't get it, but sometimes you will. And if the more you create, the more content you create, the more feedback you're going to get, the more you're probably going to do better in the field. And also, if you do all those things, like for instance, you create a YouTube channel, when you go to your next interview for sysadmin, you can always reference and say, I have a YouTube channel. I teach others about this. What you're doing is you're telling them your credentials. I've validated my credentials because I have a YouTube channel. I know what I'm talking about. That's what it says to them, essentially. That those two people who are in an interview, you being one of them, the other person doesn't have a YouTube channel, doesn't have maybe a GitHub site, doesn't do the extra things that you do. Well, you're going to get the job every time. Given that all the skills are the same, you're going to get the job every time, because what you're exhibiting is personality. You're exhibiting like a figure. The best thing you can do for yourself in the job, IT job, if you don't know, is say, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Because it's not over till I win. I'm going to get it. You take it as personal satisfaction, as like a challenge, a personal challenge. Like, no one else did this, but I'm going to figure it out. I know it sounds a little egotistical, and maybe you hold that to your own, when you're out there, but in your back of your mind, you say, I'm just going to figure this out. And the more, the more you share your knowledge and the more you try to include other people, you're going to just feed ideas off one another. And then you're going to get really, really excited and like, oh, awesome, and we're having an awesome time. So yeah, take some of that advice into consideration. I appreciate everybody taking the time to view this podcast, listen to the podcast, and we'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.